Imagine standing under stadium lights for the first time as a pro, adrenaline loud enough to drown out the crowd, and hours later, finding out someone walked into your house while you were on the field and left with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of your life. That's the brutal two-act scene Shedeur Sanders lived through. An NFL debut that was messy and raw, and a robbery that hit like a private punch long after the cameras were off. He came into the game when Dillon Gabriel left with a concussion, stepped under pressure he hadn't rehearsed for, and finished 4 for 16 for 47 yards with an interception and 2 sacks. Those numbers are honest and unforgiving, the kind that fuel hot takes and late-night punditry. But the box score was only half of the story. After the final whistle, police footage showed 3 masked suspects rifling through his bedroom, stuffing bags, and walking into the nearby woods. Investigators estimate about $200,000 in property stolen. For a rookie trying to find his feet, suddenly there were police reports, insurance questions, and the private task of rebuilding trust in the one place that feels safest, home. Sanders handled the news like someone trying to keep his head in the game. When reporters asked him about the theft, he said it plainly. "I'm in a mental space now to where it's not too much that could faze me, honestly, and none of my jewelry got took anyway." There's a lot packed into that sentence. There's humor, the small human relief that the sentimental stuff is intact, and there's grit, caught slipping, he called it. Not dramatics, just a fact and a shrug. For a 23-year-old making his way in the NFL, that's a remarkable public composure. That composure didn't come from nowhere. It came from a life he's already lived in public, from being coached by a famous father, and from an awareness that headlines will not help him learn the plays. Still, the psychological weight of a home invasion is not a neat story beat you can file away. Sleep is different after that. Focus is different. The small rituals, charging your phone, unpacking your helmet, leaving your keys on the table, all take on a different urgency when you know strangers were in your drawers while you were doing your job. Inside the locker room, the response was immediate and predictably human. Veterans stepped in the way veterans often do, shielding, coaching, and crucially, refusing to make the rookie carry the blame. Myles Garrett and others didn't just praise effort, they reframed the narrative. Sanders, in the classic rookie move, tried to take responsibility for the loss. Garrett publicly shut that down. "We're not going to allow him to do that," Garrett said. "It's a team game." That is more than locker room solidarity. It's an emotional lifeline. Confidence broken in a public place is fragile. A teammate's refusal to let you shoulder it alone buys time for learning rather than shrinking. On the football side, the questions are immediate and practical. Sanders hadn't taken first-team reps with the starters during the season. He'd been working behind Gabriel and a veteran backup. That's standard NFL housekeeping. In-season reps are scarce, and teams almost always prioritize the starter and the primary backup. But that logic offers little comfort when an injury forces your hand and the player you throw into battle hasn't had his rehearsal. The first game looked like what it was, an underprepared audition against a tough defense. Still, amidst the errors, there were blinks of what made him a draft pick. A near-perfect ball to Gage Larvadain that was broken up at the goal line, a 25-yarder that reminded you college tape wasn't a fluke. The raw materials exist. The work is fitting them into the NFL's small windows. Now the Browns have to do 2 things at once: handle a criminal investigation and decide how to prepare him for Week 12. That's not academic. If Dillon Gabriel clears concussion protocol, the immediate football drama quiets for a week. If he doesn't, Sanders will finally get a full week of first-team reps, the structured, rehearsed opportunity every quarterback needs to translate flashes into reliable plays. The difference between improvising on game day and running a week's worth of tailored reps is the difference between a highlight and a habit. There's also the family angle, and it's messy in a very modern way. Sanders said his phone blew up after the burglary and that he didn't want to be on it. He asked family to pull up to pull instead of calling. That's telling. He's asking in a quiet, personal way for physical presence rather than performative concern. For someone whose life has long been public, the request underlines the need for grounded human contact, people who can sit with you, not just send a consoling emoji. Public reaction has predictably split into outrage and cliché. Some critics scream about how the Browns handled his reps, others comfort the rookie for his composure. Both sides miss the nuance. NFL roster management is often cold and pragmatic, but the human elements, trauma, mentorship, the smell of a locker room, actually shape whether a player grows or folds. The Browns' job today is not to win an argument on talk radio. It's to manage a young player's mental health, secure his environment, and give him the tools to play better football. Practical adjustments are straightforward. Coaches will likely simplify reads, emphasize quick throws, and scheme protections that hide rookie vulnerabilities. Receivers will spend extra time on route depth and breaks, so Sanders learns the tiny timing cues that mean the difference between a catch and an interception. Film room work will be brutal and focused. Footwork, progression reads, where to feel pressure, and when to escape. If the Browns are prudent, they'll balance protection with opportunity. Give their defense a chance to win them games while they let a rookie grow without being asked to reinvent himself overnight. What remains striking is Sanders' tone. He didn't sob in interviews. He didn't crumble. "I'm fine. I didn't get robbed. My house did," he said, with that little defiant tilt that feels both mature and defensive. It's a line that will be replayed and dissected, but the core of it is human. He's trying to separate self from event, to protect identity from headline, to say that despite terrible things, he's not broken. This week will be a test on many levels. Will Gabriel clear protocol? Will Sanders' practice reps be enough to alter the tape from rookie in a pressure cooker to rookie who got a fair shot? Will the burglary investigators make progress fast enough that Sanders can sleep and practice without an ache at the back of his neck? The answers will determine whether this chapter becomes a footnote or a turning point. Here's the image that sticks: a young quarterback under stadium lights trying to learn the league's language while strangers move through his quiet rooms back home. It's cinematic in the worst way. Two parallel invasions of privacy, one public and noisy, the other dark and intrusive. How he comes back from both will tell you more about his character than any single stat line. If you want a final sticky line to carry from this mess, he said he was caught slipping, but he was still standing, still laughing about jewelry, still asking family to show up in person. That matters. Talent gets you opportunities. Resilience keeps you in them. For now, the Browns and the league can handle the investigations and the coaching. The real work is quieter. Sleep, security, film, reps, and the tiny daily decisions that turn a rough debut and a terrible night at home into a career instead of a cautionary tale. Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut was everything the headlines promised: messy, revealing, and impossible to ignore. Thrust into action when Dillon Gabriel left with a concussion, Sanders' first taste